Hey everyone. I know I normally post Christian hip hop videos, but I've been thinking a lot about things I have to say that I can't fit in a 3.5 minute song. There's something that's been on my mind lately, so here's this video called Clean Your Own House. Runners up were tend to your own sins or that log in your eye. It's going to ruffle some feathers, but I think that's the point where feathers need to be ruffled now. Sometimes I think the hardest thing for us to do is to enact the simplest teachings of Jesus. Let's be honest, like scrolling social media, watching the news, sitting in church gatherings, there's a whole lot of finger pointing going on. A lot of Christians calling out non-Christians, Christians calling out other Christians. It's like we're the spiritual health inspector running around with our clipboard, handing out citations for everybody else's sin. Meanwhile, the sins in our own house are piling up. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, the rise of something called Christian nationalism. People weaponizing faith for politics. Many claim to follow Christ while simultaneously advocating for policies that marginalize and hurt other groups of people. They believe they're fighting against things that contradict their faith, but forget the most important teaching of Jesus, to love. They think if they can impose their religion on somebody, that'll somehow convert them, right? And that's not how it works. 1 Corinthians tells us that it's not our place to judge. We should look to our own house inside the church, and God will handle everything else outside. Our only mission is to love as Christ loved, to serve as Christ served. Matthew 7 tells a story about, your brother has a fleck of sawdust, this tiny fleck of sawdust in his eye, and you have this giant plank in yours, and you're so preoccupied with that tiny fleck of sawdust in your brother's eye that you're not tending to yourself, this giant plank stuck in your eye. Like, can we first take a minute to appreciate Jesus' humor there? He's like, you have this giant tree in your eye, and you're trying to do delicate eye surgery on your brother. Like, that's absurd, right? Like, it's supposed to be, because it's absurd that we act that way. It's absurd that we're preoccupied with everything else everyone else, that is doing wrong. In John 8, there's this story about an adulterous woman. It's a very, very famous story out of the Bible. These people bring this adulterous woman in front of Jesus. They all have stones in their hands, ready to stone her to death. And he says, whoever is without sin, cast the first stone. And ultimately, they all left because they knew they weren't sinless. Romans 3 says, all have sinned and all fall short of the glory of God. Right? So, why are we so quick to judge everyone else? We're so quick to point that finger, right? And Jesus gave us a better way. Jesus said, don't judge. Not only did he say don't judge, like, the ramifications of not judging, all that reduced stress in your life, like, if you want to be selfish about it, like, get rid of it. But he said, don't judge and love, right? Take that plank out of your own eye first. So examine yourself, work on yourself, deal with your own sin, clean your own house, right? And I don't know about you all, but if I think about all the things that I need to work on to improve myself, that's a lifetime of work. Waking up every day, every second of every day, driving in traffic, making that choice not to judge, not to sin. I'm too preoccupied with fixing myself to worry about others. You know, the greatest commandment that Jesus said was love God, right? All your heart, all your mind, all your soul. And the second greatest commandment was love your neighbor. Love them. Not judge your neighbor, not fix your neighbor, not hand out a citation to your neighbor, not tell your neighbor they're wrong. Love them. That's it. That is the second greatest commandment after loving God. You know, John 13, right? Jesus says, by this, everyone will know that you're my disciple. Not by exacting judgment, you know, some righteousness that you feel like you need to enact in the world. He says, by loving, people will know you're my disciple. You know, whoever is running around out here saying they're Christian and not unapologetically, unequivocally loving is not living as Christ asked them to, right? So, you know, my challenge for you this week, today, every day hereafter, is to only love, right? When you think about judging someone, when you think about, oh, they're not living like they should be living, mind your business. Take that energy and focus it inward. What can you do to improve your life? What can you do to show that you're a disciple of Christ? Because let's be real, like the only person you can actually change is yourself. So change yourself and change the world. Make space in your heart for God to work in you and through you, right? Otherwise, we're just rejecting the word of Christ, period. You know, if you like this video, if this message resonated with you, hit that like and subscribe button. Share it with somebody you think might appreciate it. Go check out my music videos. And I'll see you next time.
Unstoppable force, yeah, it's our time to shine. We ain't stopping, we keep grinding. Got that fire, chains are breaking. We ain't stopping, we keep rocking. Got that spirit.